Hi, everyone. We are back again with the Black Lawyers podcast. We are actually doing a special sidebar series looking at cryptocurrency, NFTs, the metaverse, you name it. We have the honor and the pleasure to speak with Najahroberts, who is a crypto expert, motivational speaker, and the founder of the first African-American and women-owned crypto exchange and education center in the country. She's also the co-founder of the blackwallstreetapp with actor and lawyer hillharper. Hi, Naja. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you. How are you?
Good. Our listeners, I was joking with Naja before we started that, I get on these clubhouses and people just think I know what I'm talking about. And anytime it gets to the crypto part, I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about this. So we have a lot of people interested in learning because I'm sure the currency is going down and up. There's some scams out there. And so today is really just to uncover what it really is, how you can legitimately be involved and not be scammed, and why it is important to be involved. Because some people say, you know what, cash is king. I understand cash. I'm just gonna stay with cash. I'm not trying to risk, you got some people that don't even want to put their money in stocks, right? Let alone crypto. So we just want to open this up to the community, hear from folks that look like them, right? That, this is the way you legitimately do it. Before we get into questions about you and crypto and things like that, I always do hot topics with any of my guests. So we're going to do two hot topics in crypto today. I'm sure you've heard of both stories just because you're in this space. The first one is OBJ. So if you're not familiar, he's a football player. He gets all of his NFL earnings in Bitcoin. If he wasn't the first, he was one of the first to actually do that, which is a big deal. I mean, I'm pretty sure his contract is a couple of $1 million. So for him to get all his earnings and Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin, fall recently, some people are like, that's what you get for, putting all your money, putting your whole salary in Bitcoin. That wasn't a smart thing to do. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it was smart for him to put the whole thing, or what are your thoughts about it?
I think it was incredibly smart.
Okay.
And as we know, and for those that are doing their research and reading these articles that are being put out, like, it is actually laughable when you read the actual report when they're talking about assuming that this is what happened. Well, when we first start talking about assuming, the first facts they should have got is how NFL players actually get paid. So they get paid weekly, depending on all sorts of different things. So he didn't get any big lump sum. So the numbers that were in that article that I was reading was just absolutely, in my opinion, laughable. But I think he did an incredible thing. And I think that he also knows that over time, it's going to grow 200% or more. So what that the price of Bitcoin has gone down. And when you're convinced and understand the actual technology, it really doesn't bother you that Bitcoin goes down. I just tell folks all the time, just like you go to the store to buy that nice suits or that nice purse, and you go back and the price is cheaper. You don't say, oh, I don't want that anymore because it's lost its value. You buy it because it's on sale. Well, Bitcoin is on sale today, but it's not going to be on sale for long. So I will say to anybody that says that OBJ made a big mistake, they're laughing now. But I am going to say laugh now, cry later. So
okay, Drake.
I'm excited about his moves and what he's done, and not even worried one bit. What I am worried about is those folks that are cash heavy and that are still basing their life and their retirement and everything else based on the dollar. Because what we do know, and I'm not a financial advisor anymore on purpose, is that money is losing its buying power. Inflation is happening. The interest rates are going to go up, and the things that we have known in the past are not going to be the same way that they were. And so what we do need to also know is that no matter how you cut this up, money is changing. Money is changing, and our people have got to get ahead of and understand the technology first behind this money, to understand how relevant it is to us keeping our bases first, but understanding that if we don't get this right, we are going to start treading into the negative net worth situations, because inflation is tearing the dollar up right now. They're not telling anybody that, they're not saying it, because that really messes with everything that they've founded most of their companies and their wealth on. But money is changing, and we've got to change it right along with it.
For sure, for sure. I hear you. So I always tell, but I'm like, look, it's almost like you said the purse, but even real estate goes up and down. You would never say, oh my God, it was a terrible idea to buy that piece of land. Like it's an investment. And I'm pretty sure while his salary is, one of his main sources of income, he strikes me as someone that has money coming from different sources. And I think it's interesting that you say that, yeah, most of them are paid weekly anyway. It wasn't like it was his whole lump sum of whatever contract he had, just whatever went down the drain, because he's not even paid that way. So it's interesting that you made that point, because I think the way I've read the article, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds
No,
like,
sounds like he got $250,000, bam, and there it is, and now it's worth 35,000. Like the math in that article is really laughable, and I'm not.
you're not even a mathematician,
It's
but
just
you
so many things wrong with that. But people have to have something to get looks and clicks.
that's
And
true.
so they did a
That's
good
true.
job. And if they had done it correctly, even the one last thing, when someone accepts payment in Bitcoin, they have the option immediately to either hold it in Bitcoin or even turn it into fiat if they need to. So who's to say that he didn't get any of those payments and turn it into fiat because he needed to do something else? Like, we don't know, and we
We
can't
don't know.
just assume. But even if hopefully he did it, turn it into fiat, because it's going to be worth so much more later. So that's it.
Right, for sure. And we're gonna look, you speaking another language, we're gonna get to what fiat is and those other currencies. I know you can start, you can exchange one for the other, and that's what we're gonna get into in a few minutes. So the other story that's kind of trending right now with crypto as NFT is our former dear First Lady Melania Trump tried to do a whole collection of things. So like her blue eyes, she tried to do like an NFT, she tried to sell her hat. Like basically there were like several things, right, that she tried to do in this auction. And she would only accept, I believe it's called Solana.
Solana, yes.
Solana. So she said she only wanted it in Solana, which again is a cryptocurrency. And she said that she was going to donate, if not all, the majority of the proceeds to one of her charities, which, I mean, that's a nice thing. Okay, fine. But again, because of what was happening with the market, I guess when the auction opened up, it has to open up at a certain amount. And it fell, I guess, below that 250,000 that she would have needed. And so, people are kind of making fun of her, like, oh, you open up this auction and try to accept cryptocurrency, and then, you would do it right in the middle of it going down. And again, that's not something she would have been able to predict. But that's kind of a trending story as well with what's going on and what is she going to do with her items now that, the value and things like that. Can you explain to our audience, because again, everybody knows Bitcoin, I think people know Ethereum, or those two. Where does Solana come from? Where did that
It,
come
it could have been Bitcoin, in my opinion. It could have been Ethereum, in my opinion.
from? Okay.
I don't think that anything that she would have done would have sold for any great.
I see the point you're making. You're just saying
So
that it
I've
don't
been
have nothing to
laughing.
probably do
I've
with
been
crypto.
laughing. I've been laughing since the day I saw that sister trying to stand up next to her husband that she can visibly not stand.
I
So,
know. I
so
know.
I don't know, but I will say this about the NFT space. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter if it's a Russell Simmons, it doesn't matter if it's a Melania Trump, it
Okay.
does not matter. If you do not have a following that is able to easily onboard and get any one of these cryptocurrencies in order to make the transaction, like, it's not going to work. And I think a lot of people are missing a lot of the education. Now there's some NFT projects that are doing absolutely awesome, but there are a lot of them that are not doing great, only because they haven't thought about the real life way to onboard people for this cryptocurrency that, like you're asking, what is Solana? So it's just another cryptocurrency that's looked at Ethereum and said, hey, Ethereum has a lot of gas fees. You may buy the NFT for 900, but you're paying 400 in gas fees. So that makes it a $1,500 NFT. So Solana comes along and says, we can do this smart contract better than that of Ethereum. And so there's a lot of companies that are jumping on and say, hey, this is a newer, cheaper way to do these smart contracts. And so Solana is another one of the 15,000 plus cryptocurrencies or tokens that are actually out there. So Solana is not a bad one at all.
It's okay. I'm going to splice it. You're good.
Okay, and I'll start that comment over. Sorry about that. And this thing is on Do Not Disturb. That's what I'm talking about.
It's okay.
That was one of my sisters that can call anytime a night it comes through. But anyway, so sorry about that. So Solana is not bad at all. It's one of the cryptocurrencies, again, out of 15,000 plus.
Well, why would she pick that one though? I mean, there's so many other popular. I know you said Solana is not bad, but obviously, like the layperson like me, never even heard of it before this article. Why would she pick that over maybe like?
Well, because people are starting to do new things, like again saying, Ethereum is too high, so we're going to go with Solana. So if you do some Googling lately, there's a couple of companies that have come forward to endorse Solana. And I think she felt like she was going to jump on that bandwagon and get some of her stuff sold, which again, it could have been on any platform. And
you convinced like who want her blue eyes staring at you in the house and paid her? I mean, maybe somebody wants it. I don't know. But I think you're hitting on the point. I know we're joking, but you are hitting on the point, whether it's Melania Trump or whoever. You can't sell things to a community, whatever the community is, Black, white, Asian, whatever, if they don't even have that currency ready to go so that they could even participate in your auction in the first place. So you got to do your research on who you're selling to and do your research on these platforms before you put it out. Like you said, you can't just say, well, I'm Melania Trump, so somebody will buy it. Like it's not, it's just like sometimes artists say, I'm such and such, and then they don't sell out the seats in their concerts, and then they get kind of embarrassed, and then they have to make excuses why they didn't have the concert, but the reason is people didn't buy enough seats. So it's the same thing. I think you have to know your audience and market. And it's interesting that you say there are some people that have done really well, like Soulja Boy. To me, I know he's all over the place, but he is an innovator. He was like the first rapper to make $1 million on YouTube. I mean, the boy was like 14 or 15 years old. So he's always been ahead of his time. And so when he realized like this crypto thing was really going in the last couple of years, he decided to jump on the bandwagon. He owns a lot of his music because he's independent. He reminted his hit song, Crank That, put that on OpenSea, sold that. Made I think like $6,000 on that. And then I think what else did he do? Then he saw Jack Dorsey sell his first tweet for like, I don't know, it was something crazy, like
crazy.
Yeah, it was like between $300,000 and $500,000. Can't remember the exact amount, but it was a 6-figure amount, right? And he said he literally got on Twitter, how can I sell one of my tweets? And so he did. He ended up taking some of his tweets and he actually ended up selling them and getting some Bitcoins for them. So, folk, young, energetic. I love to see someone in our community who is in the hip hop world that can show like, yeah, this can work if you do it the right way. Even LeBron, they're selling a lot of his slam dunks, like videos and GIFs. Those are selling some for 6 figures. So,
and he's not getting any of that money.
Wait a minute. Why? I thought he would get a part of it.
If you're going on NBA Top Shops,
that's the one I saw.
Dime. He's not getting a dime for that stuff. Not a dime. Yeah, you gotta go in and look at that stuff, girl. This space. So there's some Black platforms that are coming to really combat that type of stuff. But yeah, those athletes were not getting anything.
So you're saying the one that's because that's like the main site for the athletic ones. Because that's the main site. So you're saying, is it because technically they already own the image and that's why they don't have to give it to him?
So because
is that what they're saying?
Yeah, and because the space was so new, there were no real laws around it who owned it, how, and when
Mm,
they paid for them to play. Like they had all these things thought about before they
mm.
opened that platform. But that's why there's so many offshoots coming along where people are getting on OpenSea themselves and doing it so that they can actually get the proceeds from it. So it's
Well,
pretty
I'm
interesting.
so sorry. See, look how much I'm learning for you in just in like the first 2 minutes. Because I saw that. I said, oh, good for LeBron. He's one of these people that are capitalizing. I would have had no idea. They're using his likeness and all this stuff. And he's not getting a dime because they technically already own those videos or whatever the
Right,
case may be.
right.
And so they're using that on the technical sense to say, well, technically we don't have to give you anything.
Yeah.
That that is crazy to me, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I'm going to close out more with the NFT metaverse talk. I'm going to talk more about the cryptocurrencies first, but that is crazy because that was one of the ones when I was just like Googling who had been doing well in terms of the NFTs. I said, oh, he's one of the people that, sold this for almost 256. And you're saying, wow, well, if it was on Top Shop, he didn't get a dime. He didn't see a dime of that. He did not see a dime of that. So, yes. So this is why knowing, like you said, when we get into new spaces, knowing your rights, knowing how the law will evolve because, like you said, people rights are being infringed upon. You can't, if you don't have the information, you won't know, and if you don't know, then you won't do anything to change it, right? People just infringe, or make money off of you, and you just sitting there like, wow, I guess there's nothing I can do, and I don't want that to, I'll be honest, I don't want that to be done even to a white athlete, right? But especially someone in our community,
Right.
I
It's
think
been
that's
done.
terrible.
It's been done in the past over and over and over. NCAA, I mean, they have taken full court advantage of our brothers for so long.
And they recently changed the law because Brady, with his whole football line, is
Yes,
capitalizing on the fact that the college athletes now can sign contracts and make money off the like
finally. Yes, yes, yes. But I mean, look how many years
it
they've been
took for them to
taking
get to this
advantage
point.
of it. Yeah, and so this crypto space really, in its totality, the crypto space is really about self-sovereignty. It
Mhm.
gives us the opportunity to be in control of our stuff ourselves. I think that's one of the biggest draws when I look at NFT art, when I look at NFT music, when I look at all these NFT things. But we tend to, and of course, LeBron didn't have any option, but a lot of us still are learning that this is a space of self-sovereignty. So now we're looking to those independent individuals that have
Mhm.
these platforms so that we can mint our own pieces and do our own thing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I said, I don't. It should be, no one should, uh, you know, they're like no one's likeness should be appropriated without them getting something out of it. But the fact that it's happened so much in the Black community already, whether it be with our artists or our athletes, even beyond this whole crypto thing, this is just adding on to those list of things that maybe we sit by and we say, well, what can we do about it? If there's no real rule, if there's not a rule, that's why you have Congress. That's why you have legislation, because the world is changing, just like the money is changing, how we live is changing. And to me, good laws, right, are a reflection of the times. We can't just stay in one space forever. So with that
Yes.
being said, let's jump into the specific cryptocurrency question. So we're going to take it from the top, because if somebody's listening to this and like, I've heard of cryptocurrency, but other than knowing that it's not cash, I don't, that's where my knowledge stops, right? So again, explain what exactly is a cryptocurrency.
So a cryptocurrency, in my opinion, is an asset class. Just like we talked about before, there's some real estate, there are stocks, there are all bonds, there's mutual funds, there is cryptocurrency. There's over 15,000 cryptocurrencies out there. All of them are definitely not created equal. Some coins are designed to function like money. Some coins are designed to function as a utility. They're used for something. But again, they're not all the same. Let's talk about Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin specifically is a digital currency that was intended to use like money for peer to peer. But let's back up and get the definition of money. Money is anything. It could be the top to this water bottle. It could be this car key. Money is anything that someone is willing to exchange with you for goods and services, period. If you look throughout history, the flower tulip was used as money. So were sticks, so were rocks, so were cows, chickens, you name it. Throughout history, we have used everything as money, bartering for goods and services. As we evolved, we had to find things that were scarce, that people couldn't just go out and find and say, hey, I got all this money. So if we were using rocks, which we
Right,
have,
I'm gonna go in my backyard and get some rocks.
backyard and get to digging, because that's the hustle we have, right?
Right.
So we did not, we had to look for scarce things. So we found this thing called gold, and we'll just keep it short. Gold has been used over 5,000 years as a store of value, used for money, used everything, right? So, and that's because people have to go mine for it. We got to look at it. We can't just go in our backyard and find it. It is scarce. So that's why it's held its value. So as we evolved, we went from gold not even being not being legal to hold in the United States. Most people don't even know that. Back in the 1930s, okay, the United States president put out a edict that stated that anybody that had gold had to turn it into the Federal Reserve Bank. They could not hold it, and if they did not turn it in to the Federal Reserve Bank or bankers, they would be going to jail. That is when our country went to what we call the gold standard. So our money was backed by gold. And then somewhere around President Nixon, around the 70s, the gold came up missing out of Fort Knox. He had to take us off the gold standard because every dollar that was being printed could not be backed by gold because the gold was not there. So that's when we went to fiat. That's what the word fiat means. Fiat is paper money with no intrinsic value other than what the government states that it is worth. So you follow me on this one. So we've been on fiat. Our money is not backed by gold. We are not on the gold standard and have not been since the early 70s.
This is news to me. I had no idea.
So 50 years ago, and you're not by yourself, sister. I had a mayor that was giving me a nice little argument that our money is backed by gold. That's why he wouldn't do crypto, because crypto is not backed by anything, but our dollar is backed by gold. And I had to share with the brother that it is absolutely not backed by gold. Our dollar is not and has not been since 1971. So moving forward, our dollar is losing value every single day. You can also go and take a look at the fact that our dollar is worth right now today probably about 92 cents, but you can still take it to the store as a dollar and they'll accept it. Again, that's because that's what the government says it's worth and someone is willing to trade with you. But we moved the last several years into credit cards. That is a form of money. It's actually a form of digital money. But then we got a little bit deeper, because if folks are using Apple Pay, Venmo, PayPal, you are 100% digital money. So why are we fighting this cryptocurrency that is coming along that is saying we can do the exact same thing, but now you don't pay the Visa fees. Now you don't pay the PayPal fees. Now you don't pay the Western Union fees or the MoneyGram fees. Right. You are actually your own bank, and you can utilize this currency to trade between people. So Bitcoin specifically is scarce because of the way it's set up, the technology. It does not allow people to just print it and print it and print it when they get ready. There will only ever be a certain amount of it. So that's what makes Bitcoin a little more important than all the other 15,000 cryptocurrencies, which we refer to as altcoins. So anything other than Bitcoin is an altcoin. So that's your Ethereum, your Solanos, your XRPs, your all those are called altcoins. alternative to Bitcoin. But let me just give you a quick whisper in your ear. Colleges are putting Bitcoin in their portfolio. Churches are putting Bitcoin in their treasuries. Huge companies are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. They're using it as a store of value because there's uncertainty as to what the feds are going to do, what the interest rates are going to do, and how long our dollar is going to continue to sustain itself before it collapses. So yes, we know money today. We're confident about money today, but you're only confident because they're making you confident because they're not telling you what's actually happening behind the scenes. So I will leave it at that to understand this is the new evolution of money, which is cryptocurrency.
Now, I know you mentioned, we talked about, what would you say? I know we mentioned Bitcoin, we mentioned Ethereum, we mentioned the Solana with
Ivania.
Whatever. What is it? Melania Trump. Yes.
Oh, look, I'm giving the wrong wife. Sorry.
Ivanka is the daughter. That's how much you like. I'm so unplugged for that whole situation. I'm so unplugged. I don't even know the names anymore.
Me too. I'm sorry. Sorry, listeners and viewers who are Trumpians. I'm sorry. Okay,
no,
go.
I mean, he was a businessman. So my thing is, you named in terms of I don't want to say top, but the familiar, are those the familiar? Is there any other one that the viewers should be familiar with? We named about 4 or 5.
So I'm going to tell you this. If you are sitting back and you are wondering what cryptocurrencies you should be using long term, okay, we're looking at price over purpose. So if you need to go and buy, her name is Melania, right? Melania's NFT, then you need, and that's the purpose.
In short term, get the Solana. Oh, okay.
Then you go get the Solana. But if you're looking at price, we're looking at retirement, we're looking at long-term play, we're looking at scarcity, we're looking at technology. I specifically would suggest, and I'm not a financial advisor anymore providing any financial advice, I would suggest Bitcoin because we're looking at a 5 to 10 year play. And I think in 5 to 10 years, we will have proven what Bitcoin will do to help change the financial trajectory of our community. So
well, I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of times people say, give me an example. And my brother, who's really into this and probably 2 or 3 years ago, told me to invest in Bitcoin. I was like, boy, I don't know what you're talking about. He's one of these people tries, and he invested, right? So he did invest some of his money in Bitcoin. He's like, oh, I wish I had invested more. I did invest, but I wish I had invested more. He sent me this little video. I'm going to make this available, a link in the bio, but it shows you like the value, like how it started. So all the way, let me see. The video starts at like July 24th, 2013. You could have bought one Bitcoin, $89. And it's only just hitting 2022. That $89 would be worth what now? 30. Where are we now for Bitcoin?
And I'm going to say it's only at 36,000.
Right.
And when I say only, folks, let me hurry up and say this. You do not have to have a whole Bitcoin.
Right, you don't.
Right. $1 right now today, $1. Go to Cash App, buy yourself $1 worth of Bitcoin, $10, $5, whatever. Just
as much as, like you said, as much as you can put into it. Exactly. You don't have to buy a full coin. But if you had bought one coin back there at $89, even with it going down, it's still worth, like $30,000. Like, that's crazy to me. That's evidence that clearly, like you said, this is the direction of where money is going. And, you can either be behind the train, on the train, or even ahead of the train. That's even better, be ahead of the train. But you don't want to get left behind.
You don't want to be under it either, because some of y'all.
Why do you think about under?
They gonna get under the train because they like, oh no, this ain't gonna affect me. And I say this all the time. There are 3 categories of Black folks that are gonna be decimated in 5 years. And you mark my word, this is on your podcast.
Okay.
Those individuals that feel like they've arrived, that we've got our real estate, we've got this, and we've got that, and we don't need this crypto thing because it is not going to affect me. You're going to be decimated when you figure out the things that you held value in that were tied to the actual dollar and the depreciation that's about to happen. You're going to be in trouble. The other ones are folks that have never even heard of Bitcoin, period.
First place, right.
In the first place. And then the other group of people are the ones that get in this to get rich quick. This is not the space for that. This is not the space. And I know that, you know, some of these young bucks have said, get in it, and you know, they moving and they doing their thing, and they
Right.
haven't paid their taxes yet, and they haven't experienced life, and they haven't, just a lot of things that come with this. We're talking about slow and steady because we know it wins the race, but
Right.
we also know that Bitcoin has definitely been an indication from past performance. So if we're looking at past performance, it's telling us to buy, don't trip, don't
Right.
worry.
And when he showed me that video, I said, this is the only video I needed to see. The
Yeah.
fact that I could have bought this for 89 bucks not too long ago and could have been sitting right now on 30,000. You know, when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, why did I not listen? Because I remember my brother saying it. It was around 2018. He was probably the first person to tell me about it. And he's always trying to be ahead anyway. And I was just like, well, I don't know. And now I am wishing, right? Wishing. But it's not too late. So that leads me to my next question. Where do we buy it? I know Cash App is selling it. I think Venmo is selling it. Where would you suggest people buy?
So let me tell you where not to buy first, so
Okay.
that you can make this really better for your listeners.
Okay.
Never buy on PayPal, never buy on Venmo,
Okay.
never buy on Webull, never buy on SoFi, and never buy on Robinhood, because they are robbing the hood. So those 5 places, you never want to buy your Bitcoin, because they will never give it to you to take off their platform to put into your own personal wallet. They never tell you that till after you bought it for them and they're using it on their books, because you can't take it off and put it in your own private wallet. So that's where never to buy from. Where you can buy from is hillharper's The Black Wall Street Wallet. Now you can go to the Black Wall Street Wallet. You can download it on your app store, on your Android and your iPhone, and you can buy from the Black Wall Street. You can buy there. I also have an exchange myself, which is called Crypto Blockchain Plug, like you plug something in the wall. You can literally buy from us. And from day one, we teach you how to be self-sovereign. That means you buy from us, and we put it directly into your wallet. We teach you what a wallet is, how to utilize that wallet, how to use your passwords, how to get your seed words, making sure that it's secure. If you buy from places like Coinbase or Cash App, Cash App too, Kraken, Gemini, any of those platforms, you're literally buying it and leaving it with them like you would at the bank. It's like you go take your money to the bank right now. You're doing the exact same thing with these platforms, but the only difference is these exchanges get hacked at some point, and there goes your hard-earned money. So what we want you to do is start to buy Bitcoin, but learn how to keep custody of it yourself.
I love that. And I think that goes to my next question about people being concerned about scams, because not necessarily the Venmo and PayPal, they're not scamming, they're just kind of keeping it and you don't realize that you don't really have custody over it. What about the scams? Because that is scaring some people. I think there's this thing on Instagram where people send you something and say, hey, send me this money and buy it, and then you buy it and you transfer that Bitcoin to them. It's no way to, well, I don't know. Someone said there is a way to track it, but basically you can't get that.
Scams are everywhere. Scams are everywhere. I'm going to tell you, if you keep this golden rule, you will be safe. There is nobody that can trade your Bitcoin for you. It is illegal. So if they're telling you to buy some Bitcoin, send it to them, it is a scam day one, because they cannot legally trade your Bitcoin for you. So that just saves you right there. What we're talking about when it comes to Bitcoin is buying Bitcoin and holding it in your own wallet. You're not giving it to anybody to trade for you. You're not giving it to anybody to do anything with. You're letting it sit there and you are waiting for it to fully mature because it hasn't fully matured yet.
And I think we have Hill or someone coming in. I hope it's Hill.
I hope it's Hill too.
It is Hill. I said, I hope this is Hill. I don't recognize the name.
I don't know. I'm always happy to see you, but I'm really happy to see you today because you got to tell them about the Black Wall Street wallet.
Oh my God. So she's telling
But
us about
hold
the
on.
wallet.
How come you can't tell them about the wallet?
I did, but it
You
has to come
don't
from
know
your,
about the wallet?
it has to come from your handsome face. I want them to know about this tech founder, this real tech founder. This is a real tech founder, y'all. This is what one really looks like.
Okay, well,
But for our viewers that are watching this, because some of them are listening, but she looks great in her pink asset sweatshirt. So I don't know what she's talking about. Hill, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that I've been shooting. I just got back to my trailer. I play.
Can you tell us, are you allowed to tell us what you're shooting right now or no?
Sure. I'm shooting my show called The Good Doctor. We're in production now. This is episode 13 out of this season. We're shooting 20 episodes for the season, and so we're on episode 13 now, and it's going to start airing back again in April on ABC. So
right. Well, that was a great plug. That was a great plug for your show. But you've come right in on time. So, Hill, you're not going to believe this. I didn't know that our cash was not backed by gold. It's been backed by something called fiat since 1971. She is blessing me with so much knowledge here and our audience. I had no idea, because every time I get on like these clubhouses, they're like, yeah, cash is backed by gold and and I hear it so much that I assume that was still true. And for the government to say, oh no, we're going to back it based on what we think it's worth. I don't want you backing something based on what you think it's worth. That's scary to me. And so another reason, right, why our community, it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. This is why we're not investing.
Yeah.
We don't know.
And you make a very important point that we're in a time right now in space where there's so much information and people are trying to create their own level of relevancy. We see it happen in politics, the spreading of misinformation to manipulate people to take certain actions that are in other people's best interest. We're now seeing it in financial services. Okay, we're seeing it in cryptocurrency. We're seeing it in all of these different areas where folks spread misinformation to try to manipulate people's behavior. And I'm sure Naja went into you talking about the meme coins and all these types of things that are promoted to our community more so than others because they think they can misinform us about certain asset classes, then take advantage of us and get the money out of our community. They've been doing it for years with payday lending, check cashing spots, other things such as that. And so where you get your information when it comes to investing, financial services, what's out there for you, the different tools is extremely important. That's why we lead with education with the Black Wall Street, right? That's why the one thing you can do when you go on there first is to watch all these educational videos najahroberts and myself have. You know, they're bite-sized, 2 minutes and less, so you're not overwhelmed, but at least you start to understand foundational financial literacy practices like dollar cost averaging, needs versus wants, things like that. And then also new school information around what is Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, why there's a need for a platform like the Black Wall Street, et cetera. So make sure you're careful about who you're listening to and where you're getting your information from, and always check their history and check their agenda. Okay. And it's really important because there's a lot of information flying around in this space and not all of it is accurate.
Well, it's funny, Naja was saying, so we did some crypto hot topics with her. One of the hot topics are some people are making fun of OBJ, the football player, like, aha, you invested all your money in Bitcoin and it went down. You know, you were foolish to get your salary in Bitcoin. And Najah was like, no, he's smart. He's smart to do that. It doesn't matter that it went down. But the way you read the articles, it's like he's made this huge mistake by doing something so innovative. So I don't know if you're familiar with that story, that he gets all of his NFL salary in Bitcoin.
Yeah, here's the deal. We could talk about folks getting paid in Bitcoin. We can talk about folks buying Bitcoin at any time. We talk about dollar cost averaging. And what dollar cost averaging does is that when you're putting money towards an asset on a regular, disciplined schedule, and it's the same amount every time, then that means you're agnostic to price. Price doesn't mean anything in this space if you believe in the long-term underlying value of the asset or asset class. Why is that important? Let's talk about Bitcoin specifically. Nothing has changed fundamentally about Bitcoin since it was 69,000 all the way down to 28, if it even drops further. What do I mean by that? The difference between Bitcoin and a stock, for instance, is that things can change with a company. You hire a new CEO, people don't like him, he's not trustworthy. You have a new product that comes out that was highly touted, people don't like the product. So you could see why price can change with the way someone perceives the company, because something changed about the company or the underlying stock or their earnings report. Bitcoin and the protocol is exactly the same as it was the day it launched, as today, as to when it hit 69,000 or when it's 5,000 or 2,000. Nothing about the fundamentals change at all. So it's whether you believe in the actual protocol or fundamentals of what this is offering. And if you believe in that, then price doesn't matter, because you're buying into the value of the platform and the protocol and the asset class. And I truly believe long-term in this protocol and this asset class. It's not going to change. It's the same. What changes is how much money is ultimately invested in it as a store of value. And that's the only thing that determines price, and that's short-term volatility. Long-term trajectory is a store of value. I want folks to buy this asset and never sell it. So that means it doesn't matter what the price is. You only, quote unquote, lose if you sell it. Right. So OBJ and everybody else is doing the right thing because they're making a commitment to an asset long term. I always tell people, this is a 5-year, 10-year lifetime time horizon. This isn't trading. This isn't get rich quick.
And that's what Najah said. She said that she named 3 groups of people that are going to suffer. 1, the people that just don't know what cryptocurrency even is. 2, the group of people that say, oh, I have my traditional stocks, real estate, things. I don't need crypto. And then 3, the group of people that think that this is a get rich quick scheme. These are the 3 groups that are not going to do well. And so I told her, my brother back in 2017, 2018 was like, oh, this is this thing called Bitcoin. And it was $89. It was only $89. I wish I had listened to him, but to that point, wow. It's not too late. It's not too late. Even though I didn't do it what my brother told me to do, I should have, right? I would have been set on a large amount of money right now. It's still not too late. So tell us more about how it's not too late and how the Wall Street platform you have with the wallet,
right?
Why it's kind of, I don't want to say superior, but as far as I'm concerned, it's superior based on what Najah has told me, that these other companies like PayPal and stuff are just keeping your money. It's not really going into your wallet. Can you tell us more about the wallet?
So a couple of things. First of all, I would just ask everyone who's hearing us or seeing us and listening to this to go on to the App Store, the Google Play Store, if you have an Android, and download the Black Wall Street wallet. Okay, make sure you put the in front of there. And when you download it, you'll find something that's interesting. You're going to have to go through what we call a registration process, or a KYC process, which stands for Know Your Customer. Now, why is that important? That's important because regulation is going to come to bear in this space. There's no question about it, and it's going to be what type of regulation, et cetera. And the one thing that they're trying to avoid is money laundering and malfeasance around cryptocurrency and that relationship. And so part of doing that is an anti-money laundering, and know your customer. So that there is clear a line between what activities people are doing with this asset class in this space and who they are. The beautiful thing about it, though, is, and this is where people get confused, and this is why I want to be very clear. Know your customer, or KYC, has nothing to do with self-custody. And this is what the emphasis is: self-custody, self-sovereignty. Okay, that's what we want people to do. So what do we want to do? We want people to come onto the Black Wall Street, sign up for dollar cost averaging, which we call set it and forget it. There are buttons on the app. I'm on my phone talking to you right now, or I'd show you on my phone. I can't do it because I can't talk to you and show you my screen at the same time. But you go into the app and then you set up you hit a button, $6 a day, week, twice a month, monthly, or maybe it's $10 you can do in that schedule, or maybe it's $20 you can do in a different schedule. It doesn't matter what the schedule is, just set it up for auto buys. So then you do what we call set it and forget it. You don't have to think about it again. It's automatically happening. You're automatically getting those buys. And where the price moves up and down, it doesn't matter, because you're buying on a regular basis the same amount. That's dollar cost averaging. And then whatever your number is for value, or how much you have on our platform, we then want you to take it off our platform and self-custody into a cold wallet. And the reason why is there's two things that happen when you do that. Number one, you establishing a level of power and independence that we have never been able to have, certainly in this country, and certainly in our people's history in this country, where we are the bank. We are holding our own sovereign asset. And number two, it does something else and impacts the mindset. It makes you feel good about that. And too often in our community, we have been sold the mindset that what should make you feel good is maybe you got that chain, or maybe you got that LV purse, or you got that because all of us want to feel good. But there's a miraculous thing that happens when you start to self-custody. You start to feel good and prideful, and it makes you walk a little taller and poke your chest out a little bit, because you know you are holding and custodying your own assets, and you don't need 22-inch rims. You just need this little asset wallet. And so that's what we want the trend to be. So you download the Black Wall Street.
How do you think, and this would be my follow-up question to that.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you're an example of persons that need to be saying this, right? But how can we get more people that look like us, that have these high profiles, to talk about? Because I hate to say it, my niece, I think, what is she? I think I'm generation. I'm a millennial, so she's whatever after a millennial is, and they just drive me crazy because they're entitled. They want everything right now. It's very hard to deal. I think, what's the generation after the millennial? Is Z, Generation Z. I think they're Zers. And it's just hard sometimes to explain to them that everything doesn't have to be instant gratification.
But this is instant gratification. That's why it fits this generation and all the generations so much. As soon as you press buy, you bought it. And as soon as you press send, you sent it. This is not going to the bank and then putting a check in and then waiting for the check to clear and then making sure the money cleared and then going over here and then writing another check, and they're going to hold it till they clear. Everything in this space is instant and quick. That's why it fits this generation so well. And eventually we're going to be paying for everything using the Black Wall Street digital wallet. We'll have a marketplace on the actual ecosystem where we'll have Black businesses that discount things if you pay them through the Black Wall Street digital wallet on crypto rails. All of this is coming, but we have to build it one brick at a time, or one Satoshi at a time.
Now, you mentioned that eventually, like you said, it'll be a marketplace, almost like an Amazon, right? Where you come on and you can buy things, and if you buy it in Bitcoin, you can save and things like that. Something else you and Najah have been talking about a lot is potentially the peer-to-peer lending. Like, that's something else that you guys would be able to offer, because our community is preyed upon with, payday loans and things like that, that your platform can also. Can you tell viewers a little bit more about the potential with the peer-to-peer lending?
Sure. But there's two types of lending that we can create and liquidity. Now, lending, number one, and people have to understand, why is lending so important? Throughout time and throughout history, to be able to scale and grow wealth, people need access to capital. If you're going to grow a business, you need access to capital to actually invest in your business, in yourself, or invest in property, invest in an asset that actually exceeds its value over time. And so the more liquidity you have, the better. So peer-to-peer lending is critical because it allows us to control our lending where we don't have to rely on credit scores that are biased, et cetera, or other institutions to decide whether we're worthy. But moreover, is when we collect enough of a collateralizable asset like Bitcoin, you'll be able to actually put that up for collateral and get lending based off your holdings, which is what's happened historically in this country with real estate in particular, the number one wealth creator in the history of this country. So how does that work? It means that folks have been able to get an asset. Usually it's their own peers, watch this, that are appraising that asset. So they're increasing the price or value of that asset. Oh, lo and behold, in these redlined areas in our community, our assets, our real estate doesn't go up the same rate as in theirs. Oh, wow, that makes sense. We're not doing the appraising, and they know that there's a money interest in having a higher appraisal. Therefore, they get access to cheaper and cheaper money, more. They can reinvest that and create wealth out of that. Now, we can do the same thing with Bitcoin on our platform eventually. Okay, there are a number of companies that are already doing it. Companies like BlockFi, they rehypothecate the Bitcoin, which means they're using it to make money off of it as you're paying them interest. There are other companies like Unchained Capital that don't rehypothecate, meaning it's multi-sig holding of your Bitcoin, but they charge you a higher interest rate. We're going to be able to do all of, we'll be able to do a lending program if enough people start holding the asset. That's why buying it now and collecting and holding it now is essential, so that you have a critical mass of it at one point to be able to create a lending liquidity opportunity for yourself in the future, in addition to the peer-to-peer lending aspect that we'll launch as well.
I'm glad you said that. And I wanted to close out with a conversation about how crypto is kind of related, obviously, to the NFT space and this upcoming metaverse space that everyone's talking about with Facebook. For those of you listening, NFTs, I know, are also kind of, this gray space of, I don't know what it is. It sounds like it's something, virtual, digital. It is a non-fungible token. So it's not like cash where you can, exchange one for one, right? It's unique. It's any sort of digital asset, whether it be a song, audio, artwork, anything that you can digitize and make an asset and sell on marketplaces like OpenSea, CryptoKitties, all these places. And this is actually a great way where you can earn money now. For this generation that kind of wants to see the value now, you can actually take unique things, mint them, make them digital, and sell them on these marketplaces and really set the value. I mean, we were talking about how poor LeBron, something else I learned today, Najah told me that LeBron is not making money off of the, what is it? You said the Top Shot, NBA, all those NFTs. He's not making a dime, even though they're using his likeness, but he's already signed away that they own those videos and things that they're reminting. And so, here he is, this is his likeness, and they're selling them for 10,000, six figures. You go to these websites. So I want our community to be making money off of our own stuff and off of stuff that uses our likeness. These athletes, these artists, they need to get on this, because if they don't sell it, guess what? Somebody else is going to sell it using their face. I think the most one that I cannot stand, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, they're called the Floydies. They take the image of George Floyd. And they make NFTs. They have this whole series. They were selling it in OpenSea the last 2 weeks of December. And it's just like the families are not getting this money. And when people say, well, don't you think that's a little offensive? Maybe you shouldn't be using George Floyd. They're like, well, hey, it's trending. It's, that's the NFT market. What can you sell that's so unique and valuable? And they're not even sensitive to the fact that this man is dead, So I just want to make sure our community, just like you're talking about cryptocurrency, I want to make sure we're involved in the NFT community. I want to make sure that, we're selling our own stuff. We're using our own likeness and we're taking, advantage of that as well. And then you also have the metaverse, right? Which is I literally had to learn about that in the last 30 days, where Facebook is creating this whole digital universe where you're going to be able to travel the
Not,
world.
no. Well, let's be clear. The
Mhm.
metaverse is not just Facebook. Okay. Now, Facebook changed their name to Meta
Oh,
because
so
they,
that they can
so
connect.
let's be clear, because
Okay.
they, so everybody knows you're already in the baby version of what's called the metaverse if you participate in social media. That's what people don't realize. This is just the extension of where things are at. Because remember, you're already augmenting imagery. You're already using other people's voices laid over yours to create a new product. You're using new voices, augmented imagery, filters, all of these different things, emojis, all of these different things are augmenting your relationship to the way people interact with you. The
Mhm.
extension of that is just a complete digital world where instead of going into Instagram when you do it, now you just throw your goggles on and your Oculus or whatever brand, and then you're in a world that's completely virtual where you can interact with people and do things, post things, whatever you want to do. You want to go to a comedy club, you go over there. These are digital worlds that are
Mhm.
being created by many different companies, and there'll be winners and losers. There were many different social media platforms that have been created, that Facebook just happened to be the winner, but they know that they're going to be a dinosaur soon if they don't evolve. Okay,
Or
and so
they try to buy them up. So Facebook bought Instagram because they knew Instagram was doing better than them. So they either try to
right,
buy them or they try to get ahead. And you're right. I'm glad you corrected me. They're calling themselves Meta because they're already pivoting into what this whole metaverse thing is going to be about. I
yes,
noticed
and
Disney.
and remember they tried to do that in crypto a few years ago with Libra. Now, Libra was a crypto that they were creating because they knew they had such a big, billions of people on Facebook, that if they could actually create a coin or token and do airdrops into billions of people,
Mhm.
they would literally monopolize and corner this space, but they weren't able to do it. And that's a much bigger conversation. But
Right.
you want to talk about the fact that there's billions and trillions of dollars running into these spaces, and that's why we have to own our own platforms. That's why we have to support the najahroberts of the world, the entrepreneurs who are frontline doing work in this space, the hillharpers and the najahs, the Black Wall Streets. People say, well, Hill, I can't do anything different. I can do what I can do on Cash App, or I can do on the Black Wall Street, or on Binance, or on Coinbase, or whatever. And I say, yeah, you can. You're absolutely right. You can. You do the exact same thing. Well, what difference does it make? Look at the owners and look at their relationship to the community.
They're saying, the point is, what is with us? I don't know if, like you said, is it the crab in the barrel? I don't know. It's like, why have we been, and that's probably a whole nother conversation, but it's almost like we've been conditioned that we don't need to support each other when all the other communities love. The Jewish community, they love to support each other. All the other communities, you even have some African communities where they'll all live in one house, right? For a year, and they'll take turns receiving a certain amount of money so that the next person can make it. You have all these other cultures, but then it's like when you come to the Black American community, it's just like everybody is out for their own, and we could do so much together. I mean, I'm literally turning on the news every day. You got Disney filing trademarks for the metaverse, and you got Walmart already trying to be involved, and the Nets are the first basketball team, I guess, that's inside of the metaverse. People are seeing things coming and they're jumping on it. But again, like you said, what do all they have in common? The owners of all these places, they're not Black. They're not Black. They're not Black. And so I just love
And
that.
remember what draw any startup, anything you hear about that someone's doing, it goes back to the point you were making earlier about capital and liquidity. The only thing that creates ultimate longevity and success and the ability to have longevity and sustainability is funding. How do you get funding in tech? You have a robust community. And that's what we have to learn as a community, is that when millions of us go to Clubhouse, whoever owns Clubhouse is going to benefit by our presence. If millions of people just came on to the Black Wall Street tomorrow, if every listener on here called people and made sure each one downloaded the Black Wall Street and used it, all of a sudden, I could go out to major, massive funders and say, I have this huge community and I'm going to take loans, but in this case, you're only going to get 2% of my company because my company doesn't need your money as much because we already have this massive community and the valuation is through the roof. And therefore, we have leverage in our culture. We have leverage in our community. And the sooner we recognize, it's just like, did you know what happened with Reddit and how they basically, as a group, changed the value of a specific stock, GameStop? If our community, Black folks, just said, we're going to choose one business a week. We're going to go all in the Black Wall Street. Everybody's going to sign up. Everybody's going to start using it this week. The valuation goes through the roof. It creates this massive influx of value for us and our community, and that works. Then the next week or next month, we choose fan base, and we go all into fan base. Right. And then the next week or the next month, we choose another Black-owned platform, and we go all in there. If we just did that, coordinated signups and usage.
Yes, I say we need to do it.
Let's do that for Black Futures Month. Come on, Hill, we can do that.
Look, Black History Month is coming. This episode is premiering during Black History Month. If you're listening to this, it is Black History Month because this is when this episode is premiering. You need everybody that's listening to this has a community.
Let's do it.
Has a sorority, has an organization. Get your sorority, your organization, your network, and say, you know what, this month for financial, we're going to do Black Wall Street. That's the company we're choosing. That's who we're going to do the sign up. And with that being said, and I want to close out with this. Where do you see, I know where you see the Wall Street going, because you said the different things that you guys want to eventually offer. What would be like an ideal in terms of how many signups where you could say, okay, we've arrived? Where are you guys looking at in terms of signups? Is there a milestone that you're looking for right now?
Absolutely. We have almost 40 million Black folk in America, right? Because you got to remember, there's a whole lot of folks that don't fill out that census.
Okay.
If we had 1/40th of that number, if I had 1 million Black folk on the Black Wall Street, actively using it, dollar cost averaging on a daily basis, we would be a massively successful tech startup with incredible value, where we could then do a crowdfunding raise at a really low value, and we say we're giving special treatment to the people who signed up first, and we could track who signed up first and all that, which would mean you guessed who that would who would that be? It would be us, right? Because we'd be the early adopters on the Black Wall Street. Even if other folks started coming later, we could figure out ways to benefit ourselves, and that's with just 1/40th of the Black American population.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
1 million users, active users on the platform makes it a massively, we'd be on our way to being $1 billion company eventually.
Well, you know what? You gave me the number we need to work towards. So if you're listening to this podcast, you have organizations and networks and families, you have groups that you are a part of. I don't even think, I was waiting for even an even bigger number. 1 million people, is not that bad. 1 million active users. You guys sign up for Bumble and Tinder and all these other, apps with all this other stuff. Let's invest in ourselves. Let's spread the word. Let's make that commitment. I want to end with our Black Excellence Moment of the Week. A couple of weeks ago, Shaq actually raised $2 million with his NFT sale to an organization, his organization called Shaq Gives Back. And so we're seeing more and more and more of our high profile Black athletes, Black actors such as Hill Harper, who, you know, graciously joined us today, that are becoming the face of this new wave, this new way of spending our money, the new way of even having the value over our money. And so, you know, I was joking with Naja before you get on. I said, well, you know, you never want to be behind the train. You know, it's great to be in front of the train, you know, but at least just be on the train. And she said, well, you don't want to be under the train.
Ooh,
And I didn't think
Naja will
about it.
come with those
You could be
gems. Naja will
under.
come with those gems.
I didn't think about that. So I don't want any of us to get, you know, ran over and get under the train either. I want our community to be either on the train or ahead of the train. Just be a part of something great. And so, like I said, a lot of people ask me about the NFT space as it relates to copyrights and trademarks. And I was telling Naja that regulation is going to change with people's trademarks and likeness and things being used in that space. But until these rules change, we just need to take ownership, create our own NFTs, you know, get our own Bitcoin, have our own, you know, like you said, the Black Wall Street platform, support our own. I think ownership and us supporting each other is the message. If you don't remember anything else about this podcast episode, this is what we're emphasizing. You know, Black folks a long time ago couldn't even own real estate. We couldn't even own property in this country, you know? So just like it feels good to buy your first home, like he'll say, it's gonna feel good to get invested in your Bitcoin. It's gonna feel good when you open up that wallet and you see there's an investment there. Because one thing my mother says, time is going to pass unless you die, which I'm hoping you don't. If you're still living and breathing, time will pass you no matter what, regardless of what you do with it. So you may say, oh, 5 or 10-year investment. The 5 and 10 years are going to come anyway. They're going to come anyway. So why not have your money somewhere where, you know, you're really going to get that value? With that being said, Naja Hill, is there anything else you want to leave the audience before we go?
Time is going to pass you. Your mother was absolutely correct. And I want to say to all of those poor folks out there, and I don't want to say poor because I'm not saying poor and being sarcastic. For those individuals, as we talked about earlier, that think that they have arrived, they've got their 401k, please check your statement, because this last week you lost probably $3,000 to $7,000 in that portfolio. Just based on what just happened with the market. So, you know, we've got to do something different than we've been doing in the past, because what they told us to do is not working for our community. And it's darn sure not going to get you to the place that you need to be when it's time to retire and really relax and enjoy the remainder of your life. And so we got to do things differently. So that's it from me.
He'll have anything for our audience?
I'll just say this: know your power. Know your power. When you sign up for something, you're giving your power to somebody. Know who that is. Know that when you purchase something on a platform, you're giving away your money and your power. That know who that is. And we are a Black-owned company, 100% Black-owned, called the Black Wall Street. And when you sign up with us and download us, you're helping us. And give us feedback. This is what I tell my community: please give us feedback. We are a platform. The beautiful thing about technology is that we have the ability to write code to change it. So if you have a suggestion like, man, how come this doesn't have this? Tell us. We'd love for you to have this, and it would make my using it easier. All of that. That way, it's a relationship with the platform. And that's another thing you have that you don't have anywhere else. You can get someone live on our platform, someone calling you. In fact, I'm going to call somebody as soon as we hang up, because I'm supposed to call them today, who uses the platform that had some questions. Now, I'm not going to call everybody, but I'm going to call this young lady today because she had specific questions than some of our other folks. But the point is, if you need someone to walk you through personally, if you need help, we call it black glove service. If you need some black glove service, we will give you black glove service. The point is that that's how important this is for our business, but it's also how important it is for our community. We realize it. Someone said to me, man, Hill, you should have just launched a regular old wallet. You just left millions, tens of 20s, 30 millions of dollars on the table because you got celebrity. If you just would have launched a regular wallet for everybody, then people would have come from all over. I said, but you don't get it. This is for everybody. I'm not excluding anybody, but I got to make sure my folk know it's specifically for them. Because if we don't get them adopting it, if we don't get them jumping in, then we will have lost. And sure, another person said, you could have taken the same money you invested in the Black Wall Street and just bought Bitcoin with it. And man, you'd be doing 200% better. And I said, yeah, I would be, but with my community. Not same thing for Naja. You think all the money Naja spends on her business with all her employees, she could have just sit, because she knows the information. She could have just sat back, traded some crypto, invested in this, moved some money over here. And sure, she benefits, but how does that benefit actually spread? And so invest in the people who are doing that. That's what I want our folks to know. There are people out here that are doing it the right way. Invest in the people who are doing it the right way.
Amen. And on that note, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our sidebar series on cryptocurrency, NFTs, and the metaverse. We hope that you learned something today. Please, 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 when you hit stop on this podcast episode, you're already in your app store, download the Black Wall Street platform. Do that today. Spread the word. And as usual, we're rooting for everyone Black. Take care, everyone.